You are now watching Cherry Coke with Coach.
Hey everybody, welcome to the 9th episode of Cherry Coke with Coach. This episode is looking a little different this week. I am actually sitting in my office at my house. Kip wasn't able to be with us tonight. Like we talked about last week, it's a very, very busy schedule. I was off bowling all weekend, and Kip has a track meet on Monday and Tuesday night, so he was unable to make it. And with how busy I was with state bowling, and I had a track meet last night, I wasn't able to get a guest this week. So plan on next week we'll have Kip back and have a guest. So this week you're just going to have to bear with me and listen to me talk for a little bit. If you guys like this style of podcast, you just want to hear me talk, then let me know, and we'll make sure we get I can put some extra episodes out of me just spitballing and having my opinions about everything. Once again, CC with Coach. You can follow us on Instagram and Twitter. I also started a Facebook page, Cherry Coke with Coach, and then you can also watch and listen on Spotify and YouTube. Please make sure you like, share, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff. Hit those buttons like they always say. The more the merrier. Like I always say, I would like to get this out as much as possible. So let's go ahead and start episode number 9. I'm going to start off with my state bowling. So I went down to Davenport, Iowa this weekend and had some state bowling. I always love to go to state bowling because, I mean, it's just an experience. You always go in talking about how amazing you're going to do and how you're going to just beat everybody. And you get there and it's not quite like that. So we bowled Saturday and Sunday in Davenport. I bowled pretty good on Saturday. Had a couple good games. Averaged about a 191. And then on Sunday, it all turned a different direction, and I averaged about a 144. So it was a good day and a bad day, but like I said, it's always fun. I didn't go to the casino, so I didn't have that fun, but I did take the time. I'd never been to Davenport or Bettendorf or Moline, so I drove around and checked out all the football stadiums around Moline, Illinois. Mike Morris, he's the head coach over there. I was with him at Upper Iowa. His dad was a head coach at Pleasant Valley, 25 years ago. But he's the head coach at Moline, and I went over to look at that stadium. It's grass stadium, just beautiful, well maintained. But then you got the turf fields over in Davenport, Brady Stadium on Brady Street, and also Davenport Assumption shares one with St. Augustana, the college there in Davenport. Funny thing was I booked a hotel room at the Ramada Inn, and it was a pretty interesting experience. I definitely would not take my wife to that hotel. It's definitely a place for me to stay. That let's just put it this way: when I got there, I had to give $100 cash deposit. They wouldn't just swipe the card and do the incidentals on that. I had to give them straight cash. So I gave them the $100 for that. Went outside later that evening, and there was probably 15 to 20 construction workers outside, jamming out, just drinking, having a good old time, and that went on till 2 in the morning. I went out in the morning to just drive around town and check out Davenport again, and about 4 or 5 coolers just sitting in the parking lot, and it was interesting place. Then I got back from driving around, checking out the sights and scenes of the area, and there's about 4 cop cars at the hotel when I got back, and they were searching the car that I had to park next to them because I wanted to keep an eye on my vehicle through my hotel window just because of the area I was in. So I thought that was kind of weird. They were searching this gentleman's car. They had a couple guys handcuffed and in the back of the car. And I went in, took my 20-minute nap, had something to eat, and I came back outside probably an hour and a half, 2 hours later, expecting all of it to be cooled down and over with. And nope, there was more cop cars. I think there was about 7 of them at that time. I just got in my car, went to bowling, and hoped that it would all be different when I got back, which it was. It was all fine and dandy after that. Now my last story about the hotel. I don't know. I felt good about myself after my Saturday bowling, and I thought I deserved a nice strawberry milkshake. So I asked. I went up to the front desk and asked the lady, who I believe was the owner, if there was anywhere to get good ice cream around town, like an ice cream shop or anything to get ice cream. She just laughed at me. I guess 41-year-old men shouldn't be looking for strawberry milkshakes on a Saturday night. But she laughed at me and she just told me to drive up and down the road. There's bound to be something. And then she told me, well, there's a McDonald's right there. So I didn't take her advice. I did the 2024 thing and I popped out my phone and had that be smart. And Google told me that it was Whitley's ice cream there in Davenport. Amazing ice cream stop. I'm looking at it right now. Whitley's, and that's probably not how you say it, but it started in 1953. They have a few stores over in that area. I got myself a strawberry milkshake. I mean, it was $5 for a medium, so it was decent priced. And they asked me if I wanted a lid. And I thought that was weird. They didn't give me a straw, and they put it in a to-go bag, the drink. And I got out to the car, and they gave me a spoon at least. And yeah, there was no way you're drinking that with a spoon, or with a fork. I'm sorry, or fork with a straw. So it was probably one of the best milkshakes I ever had, and I'm happy that I didn't listen to the lady and just go to McDonald's. So if you ever go to Davenport, check out Whitley's Ice Cream. They had 2 or 3 locations near where I was staying. And also do not stay at the Ramada Inn. Plenty of other choices to stay at in Davenport. I would highly recommend not staying at the Ramada Inn. So that was my trip to state bowling. Once again, good time. We bowled at Big River Bowling and Leisure Lanes in Davenport. Leisure Lanes was the sticky, where I was sticking the whole time and didn't bowl so well. And Big River Bowling was a solid bowling alley. Moving on, I was going to touch on the NBA playoffs. Like we talked about last week, me and Kip were not big NBA guys, but when football's over and there's not much else on for me, I can keep you up to date on the NBA right now. So the Pelicans played their way in, the Lakers played their way in, my 76ers played their way in, and so did the Heat. OKC is one up. The only 3 series that have 2 games done. The Lakers, I love it. LeBron and the Lakers are down 2-0 to the Nuggets, who I think might be the best team in the NBA right now. Jokic is just tough to cover, and they were down by about 20 the other night in the third quarter, and the Nuggets were able to come back and pull out the victory. The Cleveland Cavaliers, the 4 seed is over the 5 seed Magic 2-0, and then my 76ers are losing to the Knicks 2-0. They had a good lead the other night, and they kind of let it go. And just like every other year for the Sixers, Joel Embiid has to go and get hurt. Once again, it looks like it's a knee issue, and I don't know. I think it's just time that us Sixer fans just say, hey, Joel Embiid might be one of the best players in the NBA right now when he's healthy. When he's not healthy, and it always seems to be in the playoff time, that's when it's hurting us the most. And I mean, we got to be able to get something worthwhile out of him through free agency or trading him, getting some draft picks. I know the draft this year is not looking so great. I mean, maybe we go get Bronny James. I mean, by the way, his dad's talking. He's the best player since sliced bread. So, but yeah, Joel Embiid. I mean, there got to be a point where we just say enough is enough. We're tired of watching you get hurt all the time, and we just want consistency out of that big man spot. Because there's plenty of big men, and I guarantee there's plenty of teams in the NBA that take Joel Embiid that because we can't keep paying the man. And I keep referring to we. I'm definitely not part of the Philadelphia 76ers program, and I will start referring to them. They need to get rid of Joel Embiid. Let's move on. Let's just stop with the nonsense. I am a big fan of Tyrese Maxey. I think he's a good point guard for us to have. But I don't know. Joel Embiid, he was even hurt when he was at Kansas. So It'll be interesting to see what happens there. I can't be the only one that sees this, that he's hurt all the time when it matters. We've tried to they tried to put the pieces around him, and it's not working. So it's the Philly way. We got to make it to the end, get us all excited, and then lose. The Phillies are good about it in the World Series. Eagles lose us Super Bowls. Sixers make it to the conference finals and lose. It's just it's the way of a Philly fan. So we'll talk a little more about the playoffs next week. By then, we should have the conference semifinals. We should have some teams plugging their way in there. Looks like Clippers Mavs play tonight. Timberwolves Suns play tonight. And Bucks Pacers play tonight. Tomorrow we got Thunder's Pelicans. We got Nuggets Lakers are on Thursday. Celtics Heat are on Wednesday. Cavs Magic are on Thursday. And the Knicks and Sixers are going to head to Philly for Game 3 on Thursday night. So that's about all I got for the NBA playoffs. It's, like I said, not that important to me. The NBA draft now, we can talk about that for a couple minutes. I'm not big on the draft. It's funny because I might be a sports fanatic, but I'm not a big professional sports fan. I like college athletics. I think college athletics provides more of the pageantry for the game, the love of the teams. I think professional sports, they care more about the political aspects of it, the money, and that's starting to dive down in the college ranks as well. But the NBA, it's a straight up business. And watching the NBA, you get one-on-ones, NFL. I mean, they're changing so many rules in the NFL that it's probably more funner to watch a flag football game than it is the NFL. I feel like, and I as a football coach, I hope it never happens. But by the way they keep changing the rules, they need to make some other adjustments, like kickoff. I think that's a huge adjustment. Is doing it like the UFL does, the Spring Football League, and do that kickoff where as soon as the guy catches it, and then they can take off running. I think that kind of it continues to add that aspect of the game, and we're not changing the game so much. We talked about the hip drop tackle a couple weeks ago. I think that is just a ridiculous rule change. That's football, right? I mean, you're following a guy from behind. As a defensive guy, what are you supposed to do to make that tackle? So to me, watching college football, high school football is 10 times better than watching the NFL. And listen to him worry about politics, worry about everything other than football. We got to talk about Taylor Swift more than we do the actual game of football. They did the same thing with Tony Romo and Jessica Simpson. When Tony Romo was quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys, they flashed Jessica Simpson in the box every other play, just like they do with Taylor Swift. So I don't know why NFL fans are getting all worked up about Taylor Swift, because we already sat through it with Jessica Simpson and Tony Romo. So really, football just needs to go back to football. Let us watch the football game. Let's not worry about who's in the crowd. I don't care who's at the game. I'm there to watch the game. Maybe show that kid with the funny sign, or show the drunk guy trying to eat a hot dog and he's got ketchup all over his face. Show that stuff that makes us laugh. Who cares who's there with Taylor Swift, or what she's wearing tonight, or whatever. And it goes with college too. Jason Sudeikis, when did he become an Iowa Hawkeye basketball fan? But then we got to show him every other basket. So that when are we going to just get back to the games, watching the games, enjoying the games, and not worrying about who's there and why they're there? Hey, show me on the big screen, right? A 10 out of 10 beard covers a 2 out of 10 face every day. So I'm not really going to get into full drafts. I got out of a little tangent there. That's probably what this episode's going to be, is a lot of tangents for me, just what ticks off Coach. The NFL draft, Caleb Williams looks like he's going to go to the Bears. Packers looks like they're going to get Cooper DeJean, which is pretty cool. Small town Iowa kid getting drafted. It's always fun to see those things happen, especially when you got to see him live in high school and watch how amazing he was. It's you got to be a talented individual to make it to the NFL. and he's one of the most talented high school players in the state of Iowa of all time. So I think that's pretty cool. That and the Packers, they always like to pick Iowa kids, especially Iowa Hawkeyes. They just have Hawkeye kids like the Colts, so might as well go to Green Bay. But yeah, I'm not going to dive too much into the NFL draft. I'll watch the whole thing, like I talked about the last week. We got a track meet on Friday, the Red Oak track meet. So if you're in town, Red Oak, come on over and check it out. And then Saturday, me and Nolan Perrin and Adam Beyer are going to head up to Minnesota Moorhead and check out University of Minnesota Moorhead for those two for their junior day. The biggest thing is, so I won't be able to watch Saturday. So I'll make sure I catch the first round on Thursday, catch a little bit, probably listen on the radio. But yeah, NFL draft is this week, and it should be pretty exciting to see who goes where. The next topic I wanted to kind of touch on, I've noticed in the news with Caitlin Clark going number 1, kind of showing what she can make. She's going to make like $76,000 a year, and for 4 years of rookie contract. I think the fourth year was a $96 million or $96,000 a year for that fourth year, and then people were comparing it to was that guy Wembley that got drafted by the San Antonio Spurs. He was the number 1 pick for the NBA, and he got a 4-year deal worth $55.2 million. And I think Caitlin Clark's equals out to, it's only in the 6 figures. But people are up in arms about why the pay difference is so drastic. And I don't think people understand that, like, tons of people go to NBA games. So that's what's paying for it. The marketing and the broadcasting of the games, all that stuff is what's paying those contracts. All right? The WNBA hasn't been that big, and that's why those contracts are so small. I believe Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark, the Brink girl, I believe that these girls are changing the way sports are, how people view women's sports in general. Because I know we've had the same conversation about USA Soccer. I've heard that conversation a few years back. Big discrepancy about the pay. But it comes down to the publicity, the marketing, who goes to watch those games. I mean, if you look at the average attendance at a women's WNBA game, NBA attendance, we look it up for you. What was the average attendance of the WNBA? 6,615 people. Average at a game. Average. 6,615 people. That exceeded the pre-pandemic figure of 6,528 people. So you can see that women's basketball is coming around. Now let's look at the NBA. The average attendance at an NBA game is 18,324. So that means 12,000 more people on average are attending NBA games compared to at WNBA games. There was 873 sellouts in the NBA in 2022-23. 71% of the games sold out, and an average of 18,000. Additionally, NBA arenas were filled to an all-time high of 98% capacity. So, I get it. Women's sports are turning around. The culture of the world that we live in now. We got those issues with women or men trying to play women's sports and stuff. I think that's a whole episode conversation, and I'd like to get the right people into that conversation to talk about that. Same with this conversation. I mean, I'd like to get a female perspective of what they think. If they think that the pay scale is absurd, when you actually look at why the pay scale is that different, why are they getting paid that pay compared to the men? But I do agree that I'll put it out there that that 6,000 that they're on average this year. Was that this year? That was for 2023 season, so last season. I guarantee that number is going to be in the over 10,000. I feel that, and you guys can write that down, mark that. What is this? Today's date, April 23rd, 2024 at 7:06 p.m. Go ahead and look at on April 23rd, 2025, and I bet that number is drastically higher. I just noticed that the WNBA, the Las Vegas Aces registered the highest average attendance across the 2023 season with 9,551. So the highest average for the NBA, for WNBA wasn't even over 10,000. So with that saying, I know I was pretty quick on that. I don't think there's much to I mean, you can debate on it. I don't think there's much to just talk about. I mean, you can touch on it, and or where else is there to go with it? The women aren't to the caliber the men are. And that's not even talking about their athletic ability. There's some amazing women basketball players, but it comes down to who's going to the games, how much marketing, how much all this stuff is going out. Caitlin Clark just signed a huge Nike deal. So people are talking, I mean, like she's making millions of dollars. It's just not through the sport of basketball. It's all the other stuff. So I think people need to just relax. Relax for a couple years. I mean, I get it. Women's sports are taking off, and this past year has just skyrocketed it. But this is truly the first year. I mean, I can rattle off. I mean, Lisa Leslie, Rebecca Lobo. I mean, Candace Parker. I mean, there's been some amazing women basketball players, but they just haven't done what these young ladies have done in the college ranks this past 2 seasons, I would say. That's why the culture of college basketball or the WNBA for women are going to change. I don't see the men's game changing much anymore. I think the women's game in percentage for year to year per capita, you know what I mean? There's going to be a bigger rise in WNBA viewership than there will be NBA. I could see more people stop watching NBA to watch the WNBA because they do have more. It feels like you're watching the San Antonio Spurs play every game because there's more of a team aspect to it instead of one-on-one. Give it to LeBron and get out of the way, right? So he can chuck up a 3 and embarrass himself when he should just be driving to the rack every single time. But the pay difference, I don't. It's sad for some of you to hear. I'm sure, but it's not changing anytime soon, especially in sports. So I think that's a debate that we will have another day on this podcast, but we'll save it for that day. Let's see, what else? I got a couple more topics here. We're going to go back on the football talk. I had a couple kind of around high school football here. I don't know, I call it spring football. Other coaches that are listening might call it something else, but it is spring football. We spend it in the weight room. This isn't, and it isn't football focused, but they got workouts just like the other kids do for other sports. We got to get them in the room. What you do between the last football game and the first practice the next year is what's going to determine championships. You know, I always tell our kids, if you the work you put in December will pay off in November, right? That's when you make the memories, is in November. You got to put the hard work in the dark in December through July. But spring football, I wish there, you know, a lot of states are surrounding us. They actually have spring football where they can pad up, play. I know Texas is just different, right? Texas is just different. I know Illinois has something where they can do some spring stuff. but Iowa, we're still no contact during the spring. What we do here at Red Oak is we have weights Monday through Friday. The weight room is open every morning from 5:30 till 7:15 or whenever. And I got to get home and get the car home for the wife so she can come into work by 8. But so every day, Monday through Friday, we offer that. We have the Y where we have kids just lifting there. So the lifting, the weight room stuff, that's getting accomplished. Tuesdays in April, we do what we call Competition Tuesday. We do get together as a football program, and we do everything but play football. So the first Monday we played volleyball. The second Tuesday we played basketball. Then we wrestled. This Tuesday we were in the wrestling room in the field house, in our own indoor field house, playing dodgeball. And then next week we're gonna finish it off with our last April Tuesday by playing wiffle ball. So it's just a way for the kids to compete, to get around each other, things like that. It's the team bond. I always tell everybody, the bond. If you can play as a team and bond together, that's gonna beat talent. You can have talent for days, but if you can't play with your teammates, with the other 10 guys on the field, you're not gonna be able to accomplish anything. It's got to be one unit going together as one. And then Thursdays, we have our quarterbacks and receivers. They get together. I sit in the weight room, and they go in the gym and skills and drills, and they just kind of throw the ball around. So in Iowa, you can get work done, but there's got to be a way for us coaches to get together and find some way to do some more spring activities. I mean, even if it's 7-on-7, I know we had something kind of going here in Southwest Iowa where we're going to have a 7-on-7. It was like more of a rec league. Us coaches that were talking about, sending. I was going to send some ex-players over to coach. So Dawson Bond, Baz Clear, and Alec Ruskell. He's one of our wrestling coaches, assistant softball coach. Nothing to do with the football program. So they were going to go over and get some work in. And I thought that was amazing. Coach Harris over at Avoca, he was the one trying to put it together. And I think it would have been great. But there's just so many red tapes and lines that you have to go through just to make it legal the way we do things, because we don't want to cut corners or anything like that. We want to make sure we're on the up and up, and when you're getting 6-7 teams together, schools together, you got to keep everything on the up and up. But I don't see what the big deal is if coaches coach kids in the spring. I feel that to prepare them for the fall with the how much offense and the defenses are growing, and terminology, and just being able to teach them that stuff. And I'm not talking that we need to have 5-day-a-week practices and we need to have for 3 weeks, and kids can't play golf, tennis, track, soccer, whatever they play in the spring. I'm talking about twice a week. We have a Wednesday early out. That'd be nice to just pop in and throw some little practice in there. We can do a shell practice. We don't have to be full padded, and do it like camp has. We do a couple. First week you have to do first 2 practices. You have to do helmet. Then you can put shoulder pads on for the last 4 practices or something. You give us 6 practices during the spring, because it's irritating to go and see a basketball team in the gym playing as a team, or a volleyball team practicing in the gym, or you got the wrestling team over in the wrestling room practicing, and when it's not their season. But all 3 of those sports have the luxury of having club teams. Well, we're not practicing for our basketball team, or our volleyball team, or our wrestling team. We're practicing for the club team, the club volleyball, the club basketball, the Greco wrestling. But those coaches can still be in the room. They just can't coach their athletes. So what's stopping them? What's stopping them from coaching their athletes? What's stopping a volleyball coach from being in the same room with their gym with their athletes and coaching them? or a basketball coach. They're hidden in a gym. They can hide what they do. Football coaches were put in the open on a field outside, and getting seen. And that's what builds programs too. You got full programs coming to off-season workouts for these sports. I battle with our guys to get them. I remember we talked about it, I was talking to Coach Johnson the other day. Optional. Do you remember as a player, athlete when I was in school, if a coach told me we had an optional practice, or we have an optional competition Tuesday, or the weight room's optional, right? Because we can't force them to do this stuff in the off season. If I heard that as an athlete, I didn't hear that optional. I heard, oh, we have this to do. We have to be there then. Nowadays it's, you got to add that optional in there, and that's what's hard. It's just and I'm not going to say it's a generational thing. It's a world thing. That's what's changing the world today. Hard work is not the answer to everything, right? Work beats work. Arnold Schwarzenegger used to say that all the time. Work beats work, right? If you just work your butt off and find ways to work in the dark, and just work, that it's going to beat the work of the other person, right? You got to put the work in. So many people just think that they can show up when a job starts or a sport starts or any of that stuff and just, hey, I'm ready to play, let's go. It's mind-boggling to me that kids don't want to participate. I don't know if it's electronics or killing athletics. It's the iPad. iPad World. I watched this YouTube video the other day, and a bunch of moms videotaped and said, "What's their first thing their child does when he gets up out of bed?" And all these kids were young, 3, 4, 5 years old. They get out of bed, roll out of bed, rub their eyes, and they find their iPad and sit on their iPad. I didn't grow up with that. I got a cell phone when I was maybe I was a senior. I might have been right out of high school. I can't remember. I'm sure my mom and dad remember because I probably was begging them for a cell phone. But I remember getting the internet in high school and things like that, and going out and playing with my buddies. Not having to worry about a cell phone and people calling you all the time. We just went out and had fun. So we can't really blame the kids. We got to blame society and what we're doing. We're making things easier. We did a project in class a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, based off Shark Tank, the TV show. So the kids had to invent something or make something better. And I kind of sat there and talked to them about it, and I was like, you know what? Really, everything that's getting made nowadays is just something to make people lazier. The thing I brought up for the example for them was, think about a can opener. Like those first 10 cans, how'd they open those things? With a rock? Just bash it? Then you got the old school, you click it on the end and you twist, right? Then they invented electric one, so you can just put it on there and just it takes it off for you. Now they just got a pull tab, right? Now that individually is not making the world lazier, right? But that's something that shows that everything we do is just making things easier, per se. So that's what the kids were looking at, and that's what I kind of got to was every invention we have, everything we're getting is just making things better we had in the past, making things easier to use. You don't have to crank a window up. Now you just push a button and electric goes up. I mean, a car drives itself for you. You know, this might be a 40-year-old man ranting, but I really think that might be society is the downfall to society. You know, so with that, I got off another tangent off of spring football based off, that's just, I don't have Kip here to keep me on track. So we'll hop off that. It's society is getting rougher and rougher. And we need to find a way to make some adjustments for that. Big thing that I thought was fun for the spring football aspect was Jared Chiswick, who is the head of the football aspect of Iowa High School football, or Iowa High School Athletic Association. We got our first football memo today. It's pretty exciting getting a football memo in April. But it was kind of just getting us ready for the things that are going to happen, the new guidelines and stuff. And when Kip's here, we'll talk a little more about them. The two things that I thought were interesting, they always have a point of emphasis on every season. And I swear every season I get madder and madder because the point of emphasis is not a point of emphasis. I know they were talking about the crackback blocks. That was a point of emphasis. And I think we got called for every crackback block every time. And I got to the point where I told our kids to just stand there and you take the hit. And we were still getting called for it. There's been other points of interest that they it just, some refs call it, some refs don't. And that's the debate as well, is that I get madder than a hornet's nest at refs. And I scream and yell at them the whole time, but you know what? They're human too, and they make mistakes. But that's still not going to stop me from yelling at them. But I gotta recognize that those mistakes are what happen. That's what I always say for like NFL and MLB and stuff. Why do we need all those cameras and instant replays and stuff? The athletes can make a mistake, right? They're human. So why can't the refs make a mistake and be human? It might piss me off, might anger me to see mistakes being made by a ref during a game, but it's actually part of the game. So to me, let's get rid of all the cameras. But the point of emphasis this year for Iowa High School football, it's kind of funny because it's kind of been the point of interest for the point of emphasis for the past few years, and that's eye black. Right, put the eye black on under the eyes. You're not allowed to smear it on your face. That's intimidation. You can't put a cross. I've also had a ref tell us that the kid, he had teeth, fangs on his mouthpiece on the outside, and the ref said he can't have that. It has to be plain. The one kid had an American flag, and they wouldn't let him wear that because that's intimidation, is what I was told. Also, they're going to crack down on the knees, your pants covering your knees. You watch an NFL college game, nobody has their knees covered. Ever. You go to a college game or a high school game, these kids should be wearing size large pants, but they get size small, and they don't even cover up their thigh almost. And we're allowing that to happen. I know we got, against Underwood this past year, one of their players got taken out of the game because he couldn't keep his knees covered. They ended up having to put tape in all their pads. I freak out on our guys every single day in practice if they don't have their knees covered. I make them rerun plays. We had this thing on Wednesday called perfect play day. And they got to run a run play and a pass play. 40 yards, 30 yards, 20 yards, 10 yards. I'll call them back. If their knees aren't covered. I think last year, Tyler Myers will love me for sharing this, but I think we ran the play 8 times in a row because he just kept having his knees uncovered. But when we get to a game, 90% of the other team has their knees uncovered, and all my guys do, but they're not doing anything about it. So call it or don't call it. I don't really care. My guys will have their knees covered, but to me, it's a safety thing for a kid. You take a helmet on the knee, that knee pad's not going to do much work anyways, but at least you have some protection. But it's silly. Just like the eye black. We've had refs. I always tell our players that if a ref complains to me before a game about eye black, we're going to have issues, right? Because if they're already worried about eye black before they even kick the ball off, they're going to have penalties. And that reminds me of the Clark-Vall Osceola game. 2 years ago, the ref told me the kids can have eye black smeared all over their face. So I told them, take it off and get ready for a tough game. Excuse me. I think we had 30-some penalties called on us that game. 6 or 7 personal fouls. It was one of the most horribly refed games I've ever been involved with. And I'm not afraid to say that because I complained to the state about it. And the state called back and they emailed me back and agreed that they were pretty bad calls, but there's nothing you do about it, right? Nothing you can do about it. Refs are human. Even though that game I was angry, but they're human. And then the state told me they can use that as teaching tape for future refs, which, if that's the best I can get out of it, then I hope for future refs that they learn that they got to call the game both ways. I don't want to take up an hour explaining everything that happened in that game. I will just put it out there that we were told we could only have 2 coaches in the huddle at one time. They had like 5, so we kept bringing more coaches out, and then we got a sideline warning for it. It was just 2 different teams getting 2 different calls. So it was rough. It was rough. But those are the 2 things that they're going to really look at this year. Another cool thing that they are starting, we have our scrimmage at the beginning of the game, season. Red Oak fans, last year, 2 years ago, first 2 years we played Sydney, and then last year we played St. Albert's, and then this year they'll be coming to us to scrimmage at our place. But they did change it now that you can have 4 teams at one location on that Friday night, and you can play all 3 teams. So I thought that was kind of cool. You can get see some different people. The bad part for us in Southwest Iowa is we don't have many teams to pick from over here. The teams we can pick from, we actually play during the season. So it's a blessing that Coach Woods over at St. Albert's willing to play us. We did a home and home with them. So it'll be good to get them over here this year and see my buddies, the Lear boys, who are on that staff over there, the Lear twins. But they're doing some cool things. The one thing I would like I mentioned about 10 minutes ago, was the aspect of some kind of spring football. Kind of carrying on that rant I had also about 5 minutes ago about kids going to things, to optional practices, the club aspect of stuff. I was thinking about motivation today in class. We had I think we had 12 kids out of our 50 had competition Tuesday this morning. I kind of give a little leeway. We had a track meet last Monday night at Glenwood. There's some rain issues, so we ended up getting out of there late. So a few of those kids, get your sleep. The sleep's important. Junior high also had a track meet. They got back pretty late. Once again, get your sleep. It's all good. But it made me think about motivation. Like, how do we motivate these kids? How do we motivate people? How do you motivate yourself to want to be great, want to be a solid member of a team where you can be counted on to perform when needed? How do you guys motivate yourself? You motivate people. For me, I read. I know I have had a horrible past, so I don't want the kids to go down the same path as me. So trying to motivate them to do the right things, to be involved with this stuff, motivate them that failure is okay. Like, it's okay to lose. We don't call it losing; it's learning, right? Sometimes losing is better than winning. But I put a couple notes. Are we over pushing students? Like I was talking about the club sports. A lot of those kids that are playing club basketball, club volleyball, they're doing Greco wrestling. They're also doing track. Reese Montgomery, I don't know how that kid does it, but he runs track. We have 2 track meets a week. He's playing soccer, and then he's also playing club basketball on the weekend. That kid's, and he's still grinding it out every day at a track meet. Ran really well last night in the weight room every morning too. So, I like to see where he gets that motivation, because as a freshman coming in and participating in varsity letter winner in basketball, first time playing soccer, things like that, great basketball player, great track guy. You know, what keeps him motivated? What keeps him coming into the weight room? There's tons of other guys, Ethan Fouts, Mason Fisher. You know, I feel bad for not naming off everybody that does it, but these are the guys that I see every morning at 5:30, putting in that time, and then also after school going to track practice, coming to the workouts. So it'll be interesting to kind of pick their brains and see what motivates you, what makes you want to, what makes you tick every day. I know the one thing we do with football, I always say that you got to make the choice, right? It's up to you. Intrinsic or extrinsic factors are going to get you there. Do you need a coach to offer you, hey, if you come to X amount of practices or 90% of the practices, you'll get a T-shirt? Or are you an intrinsic person that's saying, hey, I got to get up and I got to do this work because I want to be the best? I know that's why I tell myself every day. That's why I'm in the weight room every day at 5:30. That's why I want to do this podcast and talk to different people about motivation and playing time and all that stuff. Because I want to learn. I want to motivate myself more, and I want to know how to motivate kids to be the best student athlete that they can be. So motivation is a big topic. I read a lot of books about it. Maybe next episode I do by myself, I'll turn the camera around and you guys can see the wonderful library of books that I have. But that's something that we'll also be touching on. So a lot of the stuff I've been talking about today, you know, I keep saying we'll touch on another episode because I think that's going to be the best. My word's not stone. And it's always great to have different viewpoints and thought processes, so we'll obviously get some other people on that. Two more things I want to talk about. Playing time, now versus then. And then we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on in the track world, Hawkeye 10. Let's hop on that really quick so we can get that rolling. So, Hawkeye 10. Coach Smith got me a good breakdown again. Right now we got Cade Sears. He's going to do the 100 4x1, 4x2 at Drake, which is this weekend. Lindsay Soderman, she's going to run the girls 3000 from Harlan. Brendan Agers, he's going to do the long jump. Let's see. Brody Cullen from Shenandoah is the 4x1. Lily Denton from St. Albert, she's going to do the 15 and 3000. So the Hawkeye 10 overall at the end of the day had 15 individuals and 10 relays make it to the Drake relay. So congratulations to those kids. Those names are Lindsay Soderman, Cade Sears, Brendan Eggers, Jordan Moyoya, Ethan Eckhorn, Kevin Coates, Evan Adams, Brian Keller, Brody Cullen, Titus Stang, Jersey Knight, Lily Denton, Ava Underwood. Last week I forgot to put that up on the screen. I'll try to remember to do that this week so you guys can actually see what I'm reading. District qualifying sites have been announced. Right now, Coach Smith he gave me his guesses. Where will the Hawkeye 10 go? Atlantic will be hosting, and he feels like Lewis Central, Glenwood, and Harlan will be there. Carroll is hosting, and he feels Creston will go there. Winterset is hosting. Hawkeye 10 Denison. Schleswig will probably go there. Trainer is hosting. They'll have 3 Hawkeye 10 teams there. It'll be Clarinda, Shenandoah, and us. Roland Story has a host site, and they'll probably get to see Carol Kemper. And then Fremont Mills, St. Albert's will be going over there. Those sites should be where everybody is going, should be announced this week. So next week we'll probably break down how Red Oak will do, how they compare to the other teams that they'll be running against. We ran at Trainer a couple years ago, and there's pretty good programs that will be there. But I know we have some really good athletes at Red Oak, so we'll be able to compete there, and it'll be great to see. As for this week, we got the Drake Relays Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Red Oak is hosting theirs. meet Atlantic, Glenwood, and Lewis Central will be there. And our Red Oak girls will be going to Clark to compete on Thursday. So that's a little bit about what's going on in Hawkeye 10. Red Oak did not have any Drake Relay participants, or qualifiers. But we got a young team, and we're gonna bring it back around and be ready to see us there next year. The last thing I was gonna touch on, I was thinking about it today about playing time from now till then. Kind of thinking back on my playing days and being a coach. We'll just start it here, because I don't really know how I should start it, but I get it a lot as a coach. Kids aren't afraid to come and say, hey, why am I not playing? And I feel that it's my responsibility to go tell them why they're not playing, why they're not starting anymore, what's going on. Did they get in trouble? Are they not performing? Tons of reasons, but every kid knows why. And I feel like parents aren't afraid to ask why. I really haven't had that issue yet with parents. I've had it with athletes. I always tell our athletes, our players that for football, that come talk to me first, talk to your position coach, then we can all meet together. If that doesn't solve the problem, then let's bring your parents in and we can talk to them too. And if that doesn't solve the problem, let's get Mr. Erickson, our athletic director, involved and see if we can get to the bottom of it. But it got me thinking. I had a couple kids ask me about track stuff today and why they're not running this or this, and I told them the brutal honesty. Their times aren't good enough, and they got to get their times down, their splits down, and just let them know, and they respect that for that. I thought back, got me thinking about when I was in high school and my senior year of basketball. I was playing a lot. I was starting, and then we came back from Christmas break, and I ended up having to share a jersey with a kid, and I wasn't playing at all, and I couldn't think why, what's going on, and our coach never came and talked to me, never gave me a reason. He just kind of pushed me to the side, and that was it. I kind of got to the point, going through my mind, why would he have done that? Why wouldn't he come talk to me? My parents even came and said, do you want us to go talk to him? And I was like, no, he'll come talk to me. He'll let me know why. He never did. But the only thing I can think of, because at the end of the school year, I was charged $80, I believe. It might have been $70 or something like that for the team basketball shorts. And I'm sitting there thinking, I turned mine back in. Well, come to find out, my brother, who had graduated the year before, him and a bunch of the other guys still had their shorts. I don't know, because he graduated with the coach's son, that the coach allowed them to take the shorts, but they were at our house after he graduated, and I had turned all my stuff in the season before. So I had 2 pairs of shorts. So I traded. I was friends with Rob Squires. He was the head basketball coach at Gilbert, his son. He was a year behind me. And he gave me a pair of Gilbert shorts, and I traded him Rolling Story shorts, and I would wear them to practice, the Gilbert shorts to practice and everything like that. And that's the only thing I can think of. Why? Why did I not play anymore? Because the coach never came and talked to me about why I wasn't playing. Was it because of the shorts? Was it something else? Was I just not good enough? Because I was starting before that happened, before winter break, and then after winter break, I wasn't playing anymore. So my biggest thing is that's something I was talking about with the motivation stuff and letting kids know where they stand. Because that's something I'm 41 years old. I think about it constantly. I don't want kids to be thinking about why, when they're 41 years old, why Coach Nordine didn't play me, why he didn't do this, why was I starting and then all of a sudden I wasn't. I mean, it could be something I could go talk to Coach Claver about, but I guarantee he doesn't even remember, right? At least Coach Van Winkle, he wrote in my graduation card why I wasn't being recruited as much as I should, or why my high school career wasn't the way it should have been. And it's true. It was playgrounds and playmates. the things I chose to do and the things I was involved with. And I respect the heck out of Coach Van Winkle because of that. And he's an amazing man, an amazing coach. But the reason I can say he's an amazing man and an amazing coach is because, one, his record proves it. And two, he let me know. And it was eye-opening. And I still have that card to this day. And I read it yearly because it's something I'll never forget. And it's something I shouldn't forget. And that's why I coach the way I do. And I make sure I'm an open book for my players because I don't want them to 30 years, 20 years from now be like, why? Like I'm doing right now. Why? That's the only thing I can say. Other than that, let's get off those rants. I think my rants are done for the night. I'm pushing an hour. I can't believe I did it. I made it an hour. We're gonna do my top five. Since I was flying solo tonight, I asked a couple kids. I asked Zaire and Sergio and Aiden during seminar today. I was like, "Hey, what top five do you guys want to hear?" And they didn't give me an answer. They just kept working on their boat, which is good. They were doing work in seminar, and it was from my class, so that was amazing. Quick side note: my class, they were building boats out of cardboard, duct tape, and trash bags. And tomorrow, they've been working on it for about a week and a half, 2 weeks. Some of them are amazing. I'll have to take pictures and I'll show you on the next podcast. But go ahead and if you want to see them, probably tomorrow afternoon, Thursday, Mrs. Allensworth, the 10 or 11, 12 IJAG teacher, she'll probably post them on Facebook on the Red Oak IJAG page. But these kids made these boats, and we're going to take them over to the YMCA, and we're going to have a kid get in each one of those boats and see if he can paddle it across the water without it deteriorating. But these kids have been working hard on it, and it's fun when you get these activities that they get after them. But that's why they weren't able to give me an answer. So I thought the funnest thing for me to do, since I love my game day Jays, I'm going to rank my 5 favorite Jordans. First, almost all the time, I always had to have my honorable mention. And my honorable mention is the Allen Iverson shoes, made by Reebok. I would have done a top 5 Allen Iverson shoes, but he doesn't have 26 different pairs to choose from like Jordan does. He only had like 4 or 5 different styles. So any pair of Allen Iversons would be number 1 in my book. I should start wearing game day Iversons, but they're an honorable mention for the best shoes ever because Allen Iverson is pound for pound the greatest player in NBA history. So let's go ahead and start. So my first one is the Jordan. My 5th pick is Air Jordan 3s. The Air Jordan 3s came out in 1988. They featured the debut of the Jumpman logo. Jordan Brand reintroduced the Air Jordan 3 in the true blue colorway as an international-only release in 2009. All these shoes I'm going to be talking about also are the originals. The remakes are great, but the originals, back when they were $80 a pair instead of $500, they were way better. On February 15, 2020, a red cement version was released in celebration of Chicago, Illinois, hosting the 2020 NBA All-Star Game. The brand also debuted a Chicago exclusive version of the colorway. This pair features Nike Chai branding on the heel, replacing the traditional Nike Air branding. So the 1998 Air Jordan 3s are my 5th favorite. My 4th favorite are the Air Jordan 8s. I remember wearing these. They came out in 1993. I wore them in junior high. I might actually had them before junior high, playing a little 5th and 6th grade basketball. You know, my mom always had them make sure I looked the best. But the Air Jordan 8 was released to coincide with the 1992-93 NBA season. The 8th model of the Air Jordan contains a full-length Air sole, polyurethane midsole, polycarbonate, shank plate, and 2 crossover straps. The 8s were known for a successful ad campaign in which Bugs Bunny appeared alongside Michael Jordan to market the shoes. The shoe was re-released in 2003, 7, 8, 13, and 2015 through 2017. That was the number 8 is my fourth favorite. My third favorite is the Jordan 11s. Jordan 11s, they came out in '95. We got a long talk about these. I wear them. They're part of my Game Day J lineup. This model was designed by Tinker Hatfield. When the shoe launched, Michael Jordan, retired from basketball by then, was with the Birmingham Barons in baseball's minor league baseball leagues. Hatfield designed the sneaker, waiting for Jordan to come back and hoping he would play in them. The ballistic mesh upper of the sneaker was meant to make the Air Jordan 11 lighter and more durable. Further changes came with the use of a carbon fiber spring plate and the translucent outside, giving the shoe better torque while twisting on the court. The best known aspect of the shoe is its patent leather mud guard. Patent leather was lightweight compared to genuine leather and also tended not to stretch as much. A property to help keep the foot within the bounds of the footbed during directional changes on the court. The patent leather gave the 11s a formal look. When this shoe released, some wore this model with business suits instead of dress shoes. The sneakers were, I repeat that this is a long one, the sneakers were only samples in 1995 when Jordan decided to come back to the NBA. Hatfield and Nike discouraged Jordan from playing in them, but once they were produced, he couldn't resist. Also noteworthy, Jordan violated league dress code by wearing the shoes, as his teammates wore all black shoes. It wasn't the first time Jordan had run afoul of NBA footwear rules, having broke them with his very first signature shoe in 1985. He was fined $5,000 for not following the Bulls' colorway policy with the AJ 11s. After the fine, Nike made him a pair of the shoes in a black-white Concord colorway for the series against Orlando. Jordan wore Penny Hardaway's signature black Nike Air Flight shoes for Game 3 while said colorway was under production. A similar black-white royal blue colorway was released to the public at the end of the 2000. The colorway was changed for the public release because the Concord purple had looked like royal blue on television. Jordan wore the Air Jordan 11 on the way to helping the Chicago Bulls claim the 95-96 NBA championship. He also wore the 11's white Columbia colorway in the 1996 NBA All-Star game and was selected MVP of the game. The shoes received more media exposure when Jordan wore the Air Jordan 11 model in the 1996 animated movie Space Jam, way better than the LeBron James one. These shoes were eventually released in 2000 and re-released in 2009 and 16 with the nickname Space Jams. The Concord purple was changed to royal blue for the released version of the shoe. The Air Jordan 11 is one of the most popular Air Jordans in the series and is Hatfield's favorite. They were also Michael Jordan's favorite. They're up there for me. Like I said, they're my third favorite. I wear them a lot, daily. I remember in junior high, I had the white with black patent leather. My buddy Josh Lake had the white with the Carolina blue patent leather, and he wore 2 sizes smaller shoe than me, but I still rock those bad boys in a 7th grade basketball game. I looked really good wearing them too. I might have been 8th grade because I remember I had to wear rec specs back then. I hated wearing contacts, so I didn't want to touch my eyeball, so I wore rec specs for a couple of years, and I was that cool guy. But my third favorite were the Jordan 11s. My second favorite, we're going to get into the Jordan 13s. This model had a carbon fiber plate designed by, they came out in 1997. Carbon fiber plate designed by Hatfield again. The Black Panther was an inspiration for the Air Jordan 13 with a sole resembling the pads on a panther's paw. A hologram on the back of the shoe emanates a panther's eye in the dark. They were released in 2005, which can coincide with the release of the Air Jordan 8's shoe. In the movie He Got Game, director Spike Lee had access to the Air Jordan 8 months before it was available to the public or even worn by Jordan himself and featured it in scenes. Jordan Brand re-released the Air Jordan 13 at the end of 2010, which included the French blue, flint gray, white, red, black playoff colorway and the black attitude green colorway. In 2017, Jordan Brand released the History of Flight colorway. This colorway is from the 2009 World Basketball Festival, where the History of Flight collection was released to celebrate Jordan's 25th anniversary. In April 2023, Michael Jordan's Air Jordan 13s from the 1997-98 Chicago Bulls season sold for $2.2 million, setting a world record for the most valuable sneakers ever sold. I really like those. They came in white with red. They came in white with the baby blue. They came in red with black. I mean, there were just so many colorways back in the day. My mom used to go sit at Sports Page and wait in line for me to get these, and there'd always be Iowa State players waiting for them too. And they'd only have like 2 pairs of 17 or 14s like I wore in high school, and my mom would make sure I got a pair on the release day. Love your mom. And my number one favorite Jordans of all time, I think I had white with black, black with white, red with white. I think I had those 3. They came out in 1996, and they are the Jordan 12s. The Air Jordan 12 featured a rising sun motifs mimicking the flag of Japan. I don't know what that means, but that's what it says on Wiki, where I'm getting all this information. So I would say from 1990, we'll go 1993-ish to 1998 were the best Jordans of all time. So my top 5 were the Jordan 3s, Jordan 8s, Jordan 11s, Jordan 13s, and Jordan 12s. That's my top 5. And that's what we end with every episode. Once again, I just appreciate you guys always listening, tuning in, listen to what I have to say. If you enjoyed this podcast with me just talking, let me know. I'll be happy to do more this way. I can do midweek ones, things like that. When it gets closer to football season, we're going to have some fun stuff with the players in there and stuff. But let me know what you thought of this. If this was just annoying to listen to me talk, let me know so I can stop doing it. Otherwise, next week, get ready to see Kip again, his smiling face, and we'll have a guest for sure. I promise there'll be a new guest next week. So once again, I really appreciate you guys listening. As always, continue to like, share, follow, tell your friends about it, subscribe to the YouTube page, whatever you got to do to support this. I am very, very, very appreciative of it. So thank you. Have a great Wednesday. Roll Tigers.